All righty, greetings everybody. Welcome to week 2, World Cuisines. Hey, Chef Jerry. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
All systems
Good.
go. Excellent.
Going pretty good, Chef.
Wonderful. Happy to have you all here. So a few questions. Did anybody have any questions regarding last week's assignment? There's a few things that I do need to discuss from what I've seen so far, and I'm not sure if Chef Jerry's seen it on his end, but we do need to talk about some things so you guys can start getting really executing properly and working on getting higher grades every week. All right, Latoya, I see your hand up.
So I couldn't find, I don't know, we've been having really bad thunderstorms here, and it's been knocking the power out. I live in North Carolina, so our power has been going out a lot lately, and I couldn't find the garlic and the mustard and stuff like that, and I want to make the barbecue sauce the correct way, the video that you guys showed us, the exact way and stuff like that, but I couldn't find that. I have garlic seasoning and stuff like that, but I know it's different.
Yeah, so first of all, that's something you always want to just reach out to me, right? Because we're already where the week 1 assignment is already due, right? It was due yesterday. So you want to reach out to me when you start having those issues. Anybody here who's got issues, whether it's sourcing ingredients, if it's weather, if it's family injury, you want to reach out to me before week 1, before the assignment is due, so we can start troubleshooting areas and make sure that we've got a plan in place so that you can execute and get on time. So if you want to shoot me a message and send me a message of the things that you're missing, and then we can make a plan. That way you can get your product, your assignment submitted. Otherwise I would say we want to start working already. Week 2 is where we're at right now.
I already started the project and stuff like that. It's almost complete and stuff like that. I just have to do the coleslaw, and it's not that hard. But at the same time, should I put it in my narrative that I didn't get to get this product and stuff like that? And
you can't. Yeah, like I said, first and foremost, you always want to, like we said in week 1 live session, you want to reach out to either Chef Jerry or myself so we can get you up and running, and so that you don't have these issues after the assignment is due. So you want to send, and anytime you make substitutions, whether if you can't find something, you want to put that in your narrative. That goes right in those notes, right? I'm allergic to fish. I used chicken breast instead, right? I'm allergic to vinegar. I substituted lime juice. Those are some notes. Obviously, also through substitutions, we want to talk about these beforehand, because some substitutions are going to be great. Some substitutions are going to fall short. So anytime you have any doubts or questions, reach out to Chef Jerry or myself, because we're going to be able to provide you with the best option, whether that's switching in a dry powder, whether it's a fresh herb for a dry herb, or a onion powder for a combination of onion powder and garlic powder for fresh garlic. We're going to be able to come up with better solutions for you so you can execute that.
Yes, ma'am. And the only thing is I'm allergic to blueberries, and I don't eat pork. So I don't cook pork and stuff like that, and blueberries.
So we don't have any blueberries, so you're all good. We want to discuss these as they come up, and we can take care of that. Or send me a message, and we can have a call and talk about these things. All right, Latoya?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Right on. Let's do it. Send me a message so we can set up a time to talk. All right, Maricel.
You can go ahead and unmute yourself, Maricel. I'm assuming you're probably talking while muted.
Oh, okay. Here. Can you hear me now? Sorry. Just ask question if we can do edit on our submission and resubmit it.
Yeah, so that should be fine as long as you reach out to us and let us know. We do have to open the assignment back up for you after the Thursday that it closes. So just let us know, hey, I wanted to see if I could resubmit the cornbread. I wasn't happy with the way it turned out the first time. I lost some points. I redid it, and I think it came out better. And then at that point, we will open that assignment up for you, and then you'll be able to submit it again. But you guys do not have the ability to just submit. For example, we're in week 6. You missed something in week 1. You can't just go back and do it without talking to your instructor first.
Oh, but it's not like without deducting late submission?
If you have submitted work, let's say you're like week 1 was due, right? And you submit work, Chef Jerry or I give you feedback, you can then make any adjustments that are needed, right? Say you're missing, maybe your narrative was not up to par. Maybe you're missing one of the production photos. You're gonna see that and you're gonna hear that in the feedback. You're gonna wanna then, you can resubmit. That's totally okay. If you have not submitted anything yet, right? That's something that you need to talk to Chef Jerry or myself about. And if you're trying to submit something that's after that initial week that it's due, you need to discuss with us so that we can open it up for you all.
Oh, okay. I just have to edit something, but I just wait for your feedback, and after that, maybe I can resubmit.
Okay, and you can also, please, everybody, send us messages. This is how we want to communicate. We tried to really drive this home in week 1 live session. Communication. This is where everything happens, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just here, I'll give you an example, right? If we're in the kitchen, okay, and Chef Jerry and I are working on the line, and you know what? I just don't feel like I don't want to talk. So I'm just walking behind Chef Jerry with hot pots and sharp knives. How is Chef Jerry going to know anything that's going on unless I talk to him? He's not, right? He's going to get burned. He's going to get stabbed. I'm going to get fired. We're all going to end up without jobs. You know what I mean? So this is how we want to be talking about, right? Communication. If you're walking in a kitchen and you're coming around a corner with a pile full of dishes, if you don't say corner, right? Person around the other side doesn't know that you're coming. We want to streamline. You want to get in the practice of communicating. All right?
Yeah, me and Chef Catherine can tell you guys probably hundreds of horror stories that have happened in the kitchen as we've been there. Maybe one day we will, but might scare you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, communication is super important. Being loud and being nice and clear when you're in the kitchen. Very important stuff.
Yeah. And if you have questions, reach out to us. This is literally what we're here for, right? We're not just we are just some people behind the screen, but we are here to help you, right? We want to help you. And that's what we need you to reach out so we can be there for you. And so that way you're not frustrated or struggling as well, because we know that it can be frustrating on the other side of the computer if you don't have the answers or you're running around to grocery stores and can't find stuff up. This is where in order to reduce the frustrations on your end and for us to be able to help you, you guys need to just reach out, right? So we're saying it now, week 1, week 2, we are here for you. Use us for what you need, all right? So you can make and get the best learning experience possible. All right? Okay, cool. I want to pull up the narrative, and I also want to talk about mise en place first and foremost. I don't know what's going on. Chef Jerry, you got the same issues? Yeah.
Ingredient pictures.
What is mise en place? Somebody tell me.
Everything in its place.
Everything like prepared.
Okay, and what does that really mean though? Does that mean I just take
Everything weighed out.
Cut up everything like portioned.
Portioned out.
Weighed, sliced, diced, chopped, measured, ready to go. I do not want to see any more bags or jars on a container, on the counter. It's that you're not ready for action. We're in the second half of the program, class.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time? No more what on the counter?
Jars, like jars of, well, maybe you're making a sauce with, for example, we were doing it with red wine vinegar, and
Mayo.
Worcestershire sauce, right? Putting bottles that have not been measured, guess what that usually ends up happening in? Incorrect measurements that we then see. And without seeing that, we first, you're just eyeballing it, right? Oh, a pinch here, a pinch there. But you need to be measuring your spices, your liquids, weighing out your flour if you're making cornbread, right? Or whatever breads that we're going to be making. If you're having an onion that needs to be diced, right?
Gotcha. Thank you, Chef.
Yeah, needs to be prepped. I've seen way too many, and I am not even halfway through grading, and I've seen tons of incorrect mise en place. So Yeah, the exception was the cabbage. Yep, because we want to make sure that you're actually slicing that as opposed to buying pre-shredded. Okay, so we want to make sure that you all are ready, because I'll tell you this much: if you get out in the industry and chef walks by, you say, "Yeah, I'm ready to make that. I'm ready. I'm ready," and you just have bottles on your station. Are you ready? No, you're not ready. And that's when you're going to mismeasure. And that's when you're not going to be accurate. And it's not when you're going to double check the recipe, because you're already in the mode and you're trying to fly, right? All right. Does anybody have any questions about this? Looks like it. Algae.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chef.
Hi.
Hi. Question with that mise en place. Let's say we add carrots or onion to the recipe. Should we put that picture inside of the mise en place? Even though it doesn't call for it?
Yeah, I mean, like for example, if you were adding carrots into your coleslaw for this week, yeah, we want to see that those carrots that have been sliced in your mise en place for that photo. Or if you added jalapenos for that photo. Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks, Chef.
Very welcome. Amber.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to clarify something. I heard you say that y'all don't want the bottles on the counter. Now, what I did was I took a picture of each mise en place, but I put the actual item that I used behind the one that I measured.
That's cool. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Well, my chef, I actually am a student for the other chef, and I don't think he noticed it. I remember him now mentioning in there, hey, you need to measure out your product. I did, chef, and I apologize that I didn't write back to tell you that I did measure my products. They were sitting in front of the actual product, because that's how I know which mise en place it is when I'm putting it on my records, by looking at what products I actually used. If I just look at the measurements, I can't tell what they are by the photos when I'm uploading.
Perfect. So that might have been a mistake on my part then. I did quite a bit of grading, but I'm not going to remember your assignment specifically. Maybe we had some stuff measured out and then we still had the bottle. So I probably didn't see that there was some liquids that were measured out there as well. So just send me a message and I'll go ahead and get that edited if I did take some points.
You didn't, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that I did it that way. But if from now on, I'll take 2 pictures and I'll remove them and I'll upload them both. It's not a big deal.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Michelle.
Hi. So I just had a question about the narrative with the mise en place. So in my narrative for this week, I listed every single item for the mise en place.
We're going to cover the narrative in a minute. If you want to just hold on to that, and then hopefully we'll answer those questions. I just want to make sure if everybody's clear with what we need for actual mise en place for photos right now.
Okay.
And then I'll swing back to you. All right. Cool. Tara or Tara.
Good afternoon, Tara. One of the previous chef instructors that I had in the past indicated that if we have a ingredient that calls for to taste, we could have the actual bottle in the mise en place versus that item measured out. What is your take on that?
I mean, most oftentimes the to taste is going to be salt and pepper, right? Right. Occasionally it might be an acid, right? That you're going to be adding, adjusting in there. Maybe a little bit more vinegar. And I think there's one recipe in this, which is fish sauce to taste. That's later on, but you're very rarely going to have a to taste that is going to be a full ingredient. If that is the case, it's okay to have salt and pepper on without measuring, because you need to adjust that accordingly.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Latoya, is this question regarding mise en place or?
Yes, it's the mise en place.
All right, cool.
Okay, so My question is, like, do we have to, like, okay, like, when we cut our onions and things like that, do we have to take a picture of it? Like, they gave me, like, this metal thing and stuff like that, like, how the size and stuff like that is supposed to be. Do we need to take a picture of, like...
Your knife cuts ruler, yeah. So if you have a photo, right, that says display a small dice, right, or a medium dice, or a julienne or bâtonnet, you're gonna, first of all, be wanting to use that ruler to make sure that you're accurate, all right? So that's gonna be there. So I would highly suggest that that's gonna be in your photo, right? With a few, with you know, say it's, the requirement for this week was small dice of onion, right? So you're gonna wanna put those, you're gonna chop all them up, right? Dice them up, and then a photo, whether it's a close-up on top, right, of that right there, or some people choose to display it right
I like to take a picture of like examples of like the cuts and stuff like that, and then put it like right on the metal.
Knife
I don't know what to call it, like
knife cuts ruler. Knife cuts ruler.
Okay, I like to put it on there and stuff like that, so you guys can see exactly like this is the cut that I'm doing and stuff like that. This is what, you know, the size of it is, and this is what I'm putting in my food. So that's what I like to do and stuff like that. Is that okay when we do our pictures and things like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Totally okay. You're welcome.
Let me jump in and just kind of answer that question for my class as well. So what I've been telling the people in my reviews is that for my class, I don't need to see the ruler. I know that, I mean, you know that I know what a 1/4 inch of a dice is. What I've been asking them is to show me the bulk of their ingredients. Show me that you can do it consistently.
I don't know.
Instead of taking the picture of the knife cut ruler with just a single piece that you can pick out and grab the perfect 1/4 inch dice, show me all of them and let me see that they're all a 1/4 inch dice. I want to see the consistency more than anything.
Yeah, that'll be in your Mason class photo anyhow, and I zoom right in there because there were a lot of people that were not doing small dice on, pick out this, we all know this trick, right? You pick out the few pieces that are exactly small dice or 1/8, and then we get into the mix of the coleslaw and we see 1/4 inch slice, almost 1/2 inch slice. Chef Jerry and I know exactly what these knife cuts look like, right? So this is what we want to be doing, class. All right, so let's step it up. All right. Quickly, Chef Jared, you want to hop into that narrative, or you want to let's knock out that narrative. I see that a lot of people are still having issues. Did you have issues on your end as well, Chef?
Yeah, a little bit. Do you have it open?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just briefly knock this out. First of all, I just want to show everybody where this is, because there were people who were using another narrative from last class, or even from a previous course. So I'm just looking up week 2, for example, right here. Make a copy. And we're in. Jeff, you want to take this or you want me to rock it?
Go for it.
All righty. Obviously, notes. This is right where you'd say, hey, I'm allergic to X, Y, and Z. I could not find this. I substituted this. These are where your notes go in, right? What went well? Okay, any experiences, challenges? This is easy. What did you learn, right? I learned how to use a marinade. I'd never marinated chicken before. Maybe I'd never made cornbread before. Cool. What techniques? Techniques. This is not about, I just used the recipe I was given. Techniques are cooking terms, right? So that is grilling, baking, marinating, sauce cookery, dressing, right? Knife cuts. Think about all the techniques that you're executing, right? Maybe a technique was, I'm working on time management as well, right? In addition to your actual cooking techniques. I used a timer. I timed myself, right? Trying to improve on my speed. Techniques are all about cooking though, all right? Chef, did you ever want anything you wanted to add to that?
Not much. Just make sure that when we do go ahead and do that portion, we talk about every single component. Grab at least one technique from each of them. I had a couple of people that were like, I marinated and I grilled. I'm like, okay, cool. But what about your cornbread? What about your coleslaw? What about your barbecue sauce? Did you do anything with those? So make sure that we're talking about every single thing that we're doing on these narratives.
Exactly. Remember, these are going to be, if you go into an interview, right? Oh, what techniques do you know? And you're just like, oh, I just follow recipes, right? That's not going to get you the job. right? You want to be able to know, oh yeah, I know how to grill. I feel confident in grilling. I know how to make quick breads. That's how you want to start analyzing and thinking about these things. All right. Now, mise en place. All right. This is as if you are making a mise en place. All right. So I walk into the kitchen and I have to, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to use an example from this week. All right. We're just going to say, let's talk about coleslaw because it's really simple. Okay. So I'm going to gather my ingredients and measure my ingredients, right? Set up my station. I'm going to slice my cabbage. I'm going to mix my dressing, combine all, season to taste, right? So measure ingredients, gather and measure ingredients, right? Then we talk about whatever type of prep you need to do if you are prepping one of those, if you're slicing or dicing. Maybe you're marinating, right? Maybe you're chilling. Then you go into combining. And then, for example, that coleslaw needs to sit, right? You want to incorporate that. So your mise en place is really just getting you set up. Sorry, I combined those a little bit right there. It does get a little bit so your mise en place here, you would be measuring your ingredients, slicing, right, or dicing. Okay, that's what you want to do for your mise en place: slicing and dicing and measuring. All right. Then your production steps is where you're going into action. All right. Production steps meaning executed cabbage, put in fridge to rest. Next step, sifted dry, mixed wet ingredients, combined for cornbread, right? Put into oven, bake until golden brown. Really simple, straightforward. You do not want to copy and paste the recipe itself. This is in order, right? Or if you're getting ready for your chicken, right? You're going to fabricate your chicken or whatever. Maybe you're not fabricating your chicken, right? Then you're going to mix with marinade. Cover, right? Or put in plastic bag. Let it rest. Heat grill. Cook chicken. Check till internal temp. Maybe you're finishing in the oven. These are the steps. What do you do to execute this? Plate and serve, right? Your barbecue sauce. Measure ingredients, right? That's your mise en place. You're going to measure all your ingredients. Then your production step, combining ingredients, simmering, reduce until sauce consistency. These are production steps. Mise en place is getting your ingredients ready, right? Slicing, dicing, things like that. Production steps are your execution steps to get from raw product to finished product. You're essentially breaking down a recipe into two parts, right? Mise en place, you're gathering your ingredients, getting ready, doing all the prep that's necessary to then execute. Anybody have questions? Alexis, I see your hands up.
Hi, Chef. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I have a question. So, with the narrative, so I did the mise en place part in the production. But when I got down to the part where the wheel, the flavor wheel, I couldn't pull it up, and I tried several times, and it wouldn't come up. So I don't know if points are going to get taken away from me because I did describe everything that I made, but I used my own words because I could not pull that up. And I mean, I saw when I was at work today that I was able to pull up a flavor wheel from Escoffier, and I printed it out so I can have it just in case that would happen again. But at the end of the day, like for my assignment that I already turned in, and I did put a note in.
Okay.
But not up at the top under notes. I put it.
Okay, so that as long as you're describing, you know, you don't, we've been, Chef Jerry and I've been talking about this, and I think Chef Jerry has this on his class page as well. These are the 2 links for great words for menu descriptions, as well as well over 100 words for talking and writing about food. We want you to start amping it up from that flavor journal, right? We don't want to, I've seen, you know, somewhere it's just umami for everything or savory for everything. We need more descriptors than that, right? Everything isn't savory. There are different notes that come through there. So of course, use your words, use your vocabulary. We want to see you and how you think about actually tasting that food or smelling it. So it's 100% okay. And if you can access, I'll check the flavor wheel and see what's going on. If there's other issues, but you know, tons of words that we can get. And if you want to send me a message, I can, you know, make sure that I get you a link to that flavor wheel if you cannot fill it up.
Okay, because is this flavor wheel different from last semester?
Nope, it's the same one, I think, right, Chef?
Okay.
Chef, it actually has been updated, and I can actually walk them through how to like use it. I figured it out earlier. I had I was trying to show a student during one of my reviews how to use it, and it wasn't very clickable. So you're just going to go ahead and click this guy here, and it's going to give you this little link here. When you open this, you're going to see that it looks like these guys are clickable, but they're actually not. So if you double click them, they just zoom in. But what it does have is, let me move you guys over very quickly. It has this little arrow over here off to the side. So you click that and it takes you to all of these different words here. So as opposed to it being interactive and clickable, you just got to go through basically like a slideshow. It's kind of like a PowerPoint. And you're able to click on this. It shows you what you can use to describe sweet, different words that kind of break it down a little bit more. Sour, is it acidic? Is it citrusy? Is it tangy? Is it zesty? It just kind of goes through all the motions here, smells, taste, all that stuff. So yeah, so it's just that little arrow off to the side. I had to figure it out earlier too. I was doing a review and I'm like, yeah, just double click on these things. And it zoomed in. I'm like, oh, I need to figure this out. So I had to start my recording all over again.
That's exactly what I got. I got that blank one, and I was like, wait a minute, what is this? No,
all right, well, so you can just, if you want to just update, go ahead and update that if you feel like, you know, but I'm sure that, you know, if you've done a good job using those descriptors, you're going to be right on target with that. That's
oh, yeah, I mean, I remember some of the words. I know, because I don't know how many words y'all want per entree. Like, do you want like 2 to 3 words describing the taste? Do you want 2 to 3 words describing the smell? Do you want 2 to 3 words per entree of, you know, how something in your mouth? I don't, how many do you want per entree? Is 1 enough, or is that not enough? Like if I said the chicken was savory, but then I said the barbecue sauce was tangy, and then I said something else, is that acceptable? Or do I have to put 2 per chicken, 2 per barbecue sauce, 2 per cornbread, 2 per?
I would challenge yourself and say, try to keep looking for a little bit more of depth, right? Because if you look at a menu of, let's say we just looked at a menu, right? And we're only using the words sweet, savory, tangy, you know, and you're just using the same words over and over again, it's not an exciting menu. So you want to be able to say, okay, it's citrusy, or it's, you know, sour, tangy, right? Just like Chef Jerry was showing you, within those, each of those, you know, clicks, right? You've got another 5 words of breaking that down. Plus, and you've got that whole other description sheet. This is going to help you start to pick out certain words of what you're noticing, right? Is the coriander, right? Like later on, we're going to be using cumin and coriander. Those are going to have some really distinct flavor profiles, right? And maybe it's going to be really pronounced for you. You're going to want to mention that it was earthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. Go deeper,
yeah.
Is what I would say.
Okay. I mean, I use words like airy, and I try to do like from memory what I thought when I first smelled it, tasted, and everything. But like I said, I try to use 2 per, but I'll go deeper next door.
No, 2 is good. It's just, I think definitely more than 1. You know, 1 is just a little bit flat, right? All righty. Chef, I think we should hop into this, these week 2. All right, class, sorry for the long intro to week 2 here, but we need to start seeing some improvements across the board with the narrative and as well as mise en place, and make sure that everybody's on the same page with that. All right. We are gonna, I think what Chef Jerry, if it's cool with you, I'm gonna run through these recipes, and then we're gonna go into use part of study hall, mostly for a lot of the deeper into the history of of Mexico as well. Don't you think, Chef?
Perfect.
Cool. Let's rock it. Because now we've pretty much, I don't think there are going to be any more questions to ask her in study hall. So let's do it. All righty. Cool. Class, we are heading to Mexico. Mexico is incredible. I'm currently sitting in Mexico myself. I love this country. It is tasty as all get out. We're going to dive into, yeah, it's incredible. Incredible equipment. I know Chef Jared's going to dive deeper into this, but I just want to get you excited about this. It is chili based. It can go from mild, right? Chili, it doesn't all have to be spicy, right? There are chilies that are used just for color and a little bit of background and sweet notes. There's smokiness that'll shine through. There's depth, there's fire and insane heat that's going to come through on some of these chilies. And whether they're raw, right, and fresh or dried, they're going to add different flavor levels, right? Adding different layers of flavor to each dish. It's an extremely rich cuisine and culture and history. And I'll let Chef Jerry talk more about that. But let's first get into mole, which is from Oaxaca, which is the southern state in the southern area of Mexico, the land of moles, the 7 moles to be exact. And you will see, let me just get this up right here. You will see that there are, variations with it, as we talked about last week. Not every recipe. I am sure that Chef's grandma probably makes mole differently than what this recipe states, right? And that's okay. Most moles, a lot of moles will contain far more ingredients than this. This is a little bit of a simplified one, but it's going to be a lot easier for you to execute when we talked about a dark mole. Some moles, like a green mole, not as many ingredients as some of the other moles that you're going to find. But let me just pull up this. This is mole de poblano. All right. De guajolote. All right. So here we go. Traditionally, turkey, one of the birds that we're roaming around here, right? If you can't find turkey, chicken is a fine substitute. It's going to hold up. Again, thighs or legs. You've got that substitution mentioned down here. All right. Running through lard. Preferably, if you do eat pork, I highly suggest getting yourself some lard, or as it's called, manteca. This is going to add some extra flavor. And it's just got, who doesn't want a little bit of a lard in their cooking? It just adds everything delicious. Otherwise, vegetable shortening will do the trick. It's got a very similar consistency where it's almost a semi-solid when it's at room temperature, as opposed to being liquid like olive oil. For your chilies, you do want to make sure that you're getting, you're going to want to probably go to a Latino or Mexican grocery store, or an area that has a good spread of ingredients from around the world. I think even Whole Foods has some sections like that. But mulatto, ancho, or pasilla, or a combination of them are going to do the trick. All right. Then I'm just looking through if there's anything else here that we need to be able to thinking about substituting sesame seeds, almonds, ground cloves, cinnamon, black pepper, coriander, tomatoes, garlic, unsweetened chocolate. This is also very important. You do not want to add sweetened chocolate. It's going to add too much sweetness into your finished dish, right? Unsweetened chocolate has these bitter notes, right? It has fruity notes. Chocolate has beautiful notes of fruitiness and bitter notes, citrusy. It can be bright. We oftentimes think of chocolate as being totally sweet, but when it's unsweetened, it has a lot of savory applications. All right. Water or stock, obviously turkey or chicken or vegetable stock will add some extra flavor. So that's what we're looking at. All right. 2 methods here, right? Obviously, you can soak these, but in this recipe, you're just going to go straight in dried, and you're going to grind those to a powder. All right. Then adding, you're going to put those your sesame seeds and almonds, grind those, and then once your ground chilies have been blended, all right, you're going to add that sesame, the ground olives, and your spices, cinnamon, cloves, pepper, coriander. Get that blending, right? Peel the tomatoes if you're fresh. Does everybody know how to do a concassé tomato? Guessing that's a no. All right, concassé tomato, what you want to do, you want to bring up a pot of water, all right? Bring that to boiling. take your fresh tomatoes. You're gonna wash those. You are going to make an X on the bottom of your tomato. Once that water is boiling, you are gonna drop those X'd tomatoes into the boiling water. Gonna stay there probably about 10, 15, 30 seconds, depending upon the size of your pan and how overcrowded. You're just gonna see a little bit of that peeling away. You're gonna shock them in ice cold bath, and all of a sudden that skin is gonna peel right off that tomato. That is called the concassé tomato. Well, concassé, actually, then you go ahead and take out the insides and continue to process. But that's how you're gonna get that peel off. The peel is so you get a better finished profile and texture in your finished sauce, all right? You can use canned instead. That will eliminate your process for doing this extra step. Now, moving through, you're gonna blend that until it's nice and smooth. Obviously, if you need to thin it out, just like we know, all recipes are, need a little bit extra. If you're using a canned tomato, you're probably gonna have more liquid in there, all right, than a fresh tomato, because it comes with extra juice in there. Next, you're gonna just get that to a nice, make sure that you're able to puree it, right? Sometimes a blender gets stuck. If it's too thick, you need to thin it out so that it rotates around that blender, the blade. All right, next, salt and pepper, right? As always, salt and pepper your proteins. Get that sauce pot over medium heat. Sear that chicken, right? Both sides getting nice and golden brown. You wanna get golden brown, right? This develops flavor, starts to render out some of the fat from the skin, and gets better texture, right? And you create Maillard reaction, which it means you're gonna deepen the flavor of the overall dish. All right, take that protein out, set it aside. Now you add that puree straight into that same pot that you seared your protein in. All right, you're gonna collect all that beautiful flavor that's been pulling off your protein and start to cook your base. All right, cook that down. About 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more, depending upon if you added a lot of liquid into your puree. You want to get that, cook it down, should be thick. Add chocolate, right? You're just going to crack that into pieces or do a rough chop on that. And it's going to continue to blend in, right? Once you've got that into a nice paste, everything's melted and a changed color. You're gonna see a deepening of color, right? You wanna see that change of color first, not only the puree changing, but then with the addition of the chocolate added. All right. Next, add in that stock, bring to a simmer. Add your poultry in, bring to simmer, and then cover, simmer over low heat, right? Till that poultry is nice and tender. This is why we wanna use thighs or legs, because it's gonna get nice and tender. Chicken breasts are gonna get a little stringy, right? You're gonna have to pull those out sooner if you use that. Pull those out, reduce until sauce consistency, right? If you have if you see that, notice that there's a lot of fat on the top, an excessive amount, you might wanna pull a little bit of that off, right? Because you wanna make sure you have a nice sauce. You don't want too much fat in there. Incorporate your salt in case you check it if you need to balance that out, and then plate away and garnish with sesame seeds. You're gonna just reserve some of those sesame seeds for garnish. Chastity.
Hi, Chef. Question. With the fresh tomatoes, if we don't get the can, how many tomatoes are we supposed to use to boil?
Well, you only need 2 ounces.
So like two big tomatoes?
No, you actually need like
2 of the Roman tomatoes?
1 maybe.
One Roma tomato.
1 Roma tomato.
Okay.
So then just I would just do the fresh. I think otherwise unless you have a use for the rest of your, the other 6 ounces of a canned tomato, just get 1 fresh Roma tomato, heat up the water, put that X on there, blanch it really quickly, shock it, peel it, chop it, you're ready to go.
Okay, thank you, Chef.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Next up, we are moving into tortillas. Now, obviously, corn tortillas are the most dominant tortilla down here. However, we will be making flour tortillas. This is a little bit different. Again, you're gonna wanna use lard or Crisco for this. Crisco, just like your option for that mole, vegetable shortening, that's Crisco, right? AP flour, water, salt, super easy, really straightforward. 4 cups of flour, 1 to 1.5 cups of water. This is because of sometimes, when you're making dough products, it's a little dry, right? That means you need to add a little bit of water. If it's too wet, it means you need to add a little bit more flour, right? But this is gonna be really simple and straightforward. Flour, salt, baking powder, right? Right there, all of those. Mix that, combine it, all right? Now you work in that lard, right? Or your Crisco. When you work it in, yep, exactly. Chef Jerry and I are both just doing this, right? These are your fingers. This is how you work that into your dough. You guys all made pie in 122, right? Last class, you know that when you're making pie dough, you want to get that fat distributed and incorporated into that flour, right? You don't want huge chunks of fat. Keep breaking it out. It's going to turn like coarse meal, right? You're going to have these little teeny pieces all breaking down. That's where you know you're at a good point. Then you're going to start to add, I would probably start with 1 cup of water here, considering that the recipe says 1 to 1.5. Start with that 1 cup, right? And stir that around. If it feels like it's too thick, if it needs a little bit of extra water, add that extra 1/2 cup in there. Okay. I'm gonna just mix that until that soft dough forms. Then you start to knead it, all right? Work it, floured surface, right? Just like when you're making any type of bread, sprinkle a little flour on that surface, right? And knead it, all right? That's how you wanna knead it. Switching it, rotating it, turning it just like when you make fresh pasta, right? And you're turning that dough, knead, rotate, knead, rotate, knead, rotate. This is how you're gonna knead that dough, getting that all incorporated. Then, boom, let it sit. 10 to 15 minutes, you're gonna let that dough rest out, all right? Next thing you know, now you're gonna have a really nice pliable dough that you can work with. And again, flour your surface, portion out your ball of dough, and then roll it out, right? You're gonna use a rolling pin for this. Then next up, heat your dry cast iron skillet, right? Normally this would be used for, you would be using a comal for this. You just need to get some nice heat there. Get that skillet nice and hot and develop some color, and you are ready to rock and roll. Fold it up in a towel. Obviously think about this in your production order, right? You're gonna have that mole simmering, right? It's gonna be cooking for a while. So you wanna start working, get that mole cooking, and as it's simmering, start executing these tortillas. So that way, when it's time to go, your chicken or your poultry is already finished, right? You're reducing that sauce, and then you start cranking out those tortillas. Your mole is done, and then your tortillas are good. You're gonna wanna prep your salsa ingredients before, so then you can execute that and have a meal coming together. All right, next up, we are hopping into your salsas. So for the salsa masterclass, you have to choose at least 2. Obviously, you can make more, right? These recipes are all based on about a total of 6 ingredients: onion, tomato, jalapeno serrano, cilantro, and avocado, and some lime juice, right? That's pretty much what we got. About 7 ingredients in total. So you can easily make all of these if you're feeling adventurous and want to understand some different flavor profiles and depths of flavor. But this is what we're going to be looking at. Pick 2. That's all you're required to make. The more, the merrier. Let's start it off here with pico de gallo, probably something that you're all very familiar with when you go and go get Mexican food. You've got your onion, tomato, again, small dice, we're working on that. Jalapeno, seeded and brunoise, right? That's very, very teeny. Obviously, if you like a little extra kick, I'm okay. Chef Jerry, I don't know how you feel, but I am okay. If you want to add that heat in, and you do not need to de-seed it, but you should be brunoiing that, all right? Work on those knife cuts. But if you like heat, bring it. Totally okay with that. Cilantro, chopped. Again, this should not be rough chopped. This should be, fairly finely, chopped, right? We don't want huge pieces of cilantro in there. It wants to be nice and easily incorporated, all right? Again, you mix everything in a bowl, add lime juice and seasoning to taste. I'll be honest, I don't add pepper to pico de gallo. With salt, it is perfect. Chef Jerry, do you add pepper to your pico de gallo? Nope. Right. Okay, cool. So all things salad. Yep. I would suggest steering away from that pepper. You're going to have the beautiful heat coming from the jalapeno. Black pepper just kind of detracts from this. Yeah, chef. No. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh.
Caught you off guard. So yeah, don't even just omit the pepper on that one. And then we go into salsa tatamada. All right. This one is beautiful, right? Because you're going to get tons of flavor from actually charring your vegetables first. All right. Super easy. Again, got your tomatoes, your onion, your garlic, your chilies. Again, if you want to keep the seeds in, I'm okay with that. If you'd like the heat, bring it. All right. Char those. You can char that in a grill, on a grill pan. You can char it in the broiler in your oven as well. If that's what your option is, you can do that way as well. You want to make sure that you're getting color on that. Okay. That's part of the flavor. Let them cool, right? Because you don't want to have any issues when you're throwing hot ingredients into the blender, and pulse away. All right. Get that going. Blend it. Again, season to taste. Again, I would omit pepper. I would just put salt in there, and then just a little sprinkle of cilantro on top for your garnish. That shouldn't be blended in to your dressing. That's going to just be a garnish. All right. Next, we're moving into salsa fresca. Very similar to your salsa tatamada, except that you are, it's the same method, right? You're taking almost the exact same ingredients, except you're not charring these. All right. So again, now here in this sense, right? An onion chopped, Roma tomatoes chopped. That's just a nice chop. When you're thinking about chopping, we're not looking at your exact measurements, but we do want to have you keep thinking in mind, right? If I'm chopping something, I want to chop them either a small chop or a medium chop or a large chop, but you're going to be blending this. All right. So just think about being consistent with that. We're not looking for an actual a dice on that, but just be wise and think about being accurate and consistent. All right. Tomatoes, onion, jalapeno, pulse it, right? Just get it going. If you really over blend it, it starts to break down, just like if you've ever broken down red pepper or making anything with red peppers, tomatoes. When you put something on high blend, it incorporates so much air into it that it breaks it down and gets to a bright yellow color. So this is more where you just want to be pulsing. Start learning now that with your blender, pulse is the way to go. If you just hit the button and let it run, you can easily, I don't know what just happened there, but sorry. I don't know what's going on. A little jazz there. You want to just pulse it, because if you just let the motor run, you have the tendency to over blend something. So by pulsing, you're going to be able to stop before you over blend it. All right. You want some thickness here, but you don't want it to be, you don't want it super chunky, right? You don't want it completely smooth. You want some texture in there, but you don't want huge chunks. All right. Again, think about when you have eaten food and cuisine, right? At a Mexican restaurant. Are you getting something that's like liquid there? Are you getting something that's like really thick, right? Get that nice consistency in between. You want that looseness, right? You want to have some fluidity in that salsa. You don't want it to be super thick, and you don't want it to be dripping. Okay. Again, mix in a little bit of lime, seasonings, and then again, you're just going to garnish with cilantro on this. Next, we are running into your guacamole and cilantro salsa. So avocados, plan ahead for your avocados. Unless you live in an area where you can always consistently find ripe avocados. Yeah, Jerry's just pulling them off his tree. Chef Jerry's just pulling them off his tree. We're all lucky. But if you don't know, right, how you want to be able to start understanding produce, right? If you go to the store, say you're preparing, you're going shopping, and you're like, all right, I'm going to make this plan. Have a backup plan in case your avocados are not ripe. Prepare to make 2 of the regular salsas in case your avocados just don't mature fast enough or not at that spot. It's my suggestion to you. All right. If you want to do the guacamole, but you want to make sure that you've got some nice give on that avocado. You don't want it to be a hard rock. You're not going to have any flavor coming through on that. All right. So make sure you've got a beautiful color and some nice, beautiful flavor coming out of those avocados. Because if they're just too hard, you're not going to get those mashed. You're going to have larger chunks. Also, if you see any brown parts, you want to take that out. If you have strings, that's going to lead to an often a slightly rancid flavor as well. All right. So be on the lookout. Any bruised or damaged avocado, you don't want to do it. Right. Also, if you're looking for a better price point, avocados are expensive depending upon where you live. So maybe don't go for that if you're on a tight budget. Okay. But this one, and this is going to give you quite a healthy portion of guacamole. You're using 4 avocados in there, right? Onion, a very small amount, brunoise, right? Roma tomatoes, brunoise, jalapeno, seeded and brunoise again, right? You're going to mash those avocados. You're going to add in your other ingredients, onion, tomato, jalapeno, and lime to taste, right? Garnish with a little cilantro and you are all set. Next, we move into your cilantro salsa. All right. Chef, quick question for you. I think this is a little bit shy. 1 bunch on cilantro for a whole cup of oil.
Yeah, what I saw last term was that the recipe actually ends up very, very just oily. So I would definitely either add a second bunch of cilantro or cut the oil by half.
100%, exactly, same. So you guys heard it from both of us.
What are we actually making and stuff like that with the sauce and stuff like that? Like what meat?
So for this week's assignment, the mole is basically going to be something that you plate by yourself. But what you can do with the salsas and the tortillas is actually just go ahead and do something yourself. So let me actually see if I can show you guys a picture real quick.
So can we make like tacos or burritos and stuff like that? Like, I mean, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Boricua, so we make Spanish food and stuff like that in my family and stuff like that. So like, what kind of foods are like we actually making? I'm confused.
If I could just take the screen sharing.
The turkey mole, right, which is a main dish. You're also
turkey moles.
So
yes,
I'm gonna take the screen sharing privilege.
Yeah, totally. The first recipe that we covered, Latoya.
So here we go, guys. So these are some assignments from some old students here that I have. And basically over here, they have their mole, they have their tortillas that they cut up into little chips, and they have their 2 salsas off to the side. This one, they garnished it with the guacamole, which is they made a mole burrito right here, as you can see. They used their tortilla, they used their salsa, and then they used the actual mole that they made. Over here, you have something that just looks nice. They use their tortilla, they use one of their the salsa fresca, as well as just using whatever meat that they wanted to in the product. With the tortilla and the salsas, you don't necessarily—
We can use our own meat?
Yes, you don't necessarily have to plate them. We just have to make sure that we make them and they're nice and consistent. But if you want to go ahead and take the extra mile and do something like this, you definitely can, and we would love to see it. So just a couple of them here. You do see another taco over here. They use their tortilla there. They have the which one was it? This one over here. They have their salsa here off to the side, and then they have the cilantro salsa on top of the radishes over here as well. It's just a couple of different options for you guys here.
I have one question now. Like, okay, so we eat a lot of plantanos.
Okay.
I'm Puerto Rican, so we eat a lot of plantanos. Like, can we like make dishes like that and like beans and rice, and then like plate it with the dish that we're baking for school? And like,
always make more than what the assignment is required, but you must make all of the recipes that are required for the assignment. If you want to do anything above and beyond, please do so. We love to see that work, but the main goal is executing these recipes.
okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's just finish up this cilantro salsa and then wrap this up for going into study hall and covering history and seeing if there's any other questions regarding that. So as we said, you're gonna really want to either half this amount of oil or double the amount of cilantro, all right? And just so you know, you can use those stems, right? The cilantro stems are really tender. You're gonna wanna thoroughly wash those, take off the bottom half that's a little bit weathered, but the rest of those cilantro stems are full of flavor. All right, tons of flavor. There's no point in throwing that out. It's getting blended into a salsa. It's a great utilization for that. All right, and again, that's just taking all of your ingredients, not too difficult. Smash those garlic cloves up, your jalapenos, a little bit of lemon juice or lime juice, and blend away. And make sure you're gonna want to add a little bit extra salt because this is so high in fat, right? Fat takes a lot of salt to balance that. So know that you're gonna need to add a little bit more fat in there to get that balance there. All right. Does anybody have any questions regarding the recipes that we just covered? Jeremy, did you have a recipe question?
Yes. Can habaneros be used? Can we use those as well if we wanted to?
Totally fine with me.
All right.
Yeah, get it.
All right.
Awesome. Kieran.
I just had a quick question about the grinding of the spices.
Yes.
So is the coffee grinder and the spice grinder similar, or is it totally different? Or
I would, if you have a coffee grinder, hands down, take those and go for your spices. You know, and if you've got dried chilies, I mean, it really depends on your blender power versus your coffee grinder. Coffee grinders tend to be pretty powerful because they're grinding up really strong coffee beans, right? So that's going to help break that down. But if you think about folding in a bunch of dried chilies into a coffee grinder, it's going to take a bit of time in there, right? So
no. The coffee grinder I was saying for the first recipe for the mole.
Yeah, but you have to grind those chilies as well into a powder. Your dried chilies, dried chilies. Chef Jerry, do you have any suggestions for that?
Not really. So that's really the only way, using one of those grinders. Another thing that you can do, but that's going to be a little bit different, is to rehydrate the chilies and then blend them. But at that point, you want to add a little bit more water. You guys will notice that some of those chilies are going to be a little bit sticky when you go ahead and throw them into the blender. So as they begin to blend, they're just going to begin to stick to the side, and it's not going to really grab the blender right. And then if you blend them without rehydrating them, what happens is that you end up with a lot of little chunks, and we don't want to see those. It's going to have a very funky texture when you go ahead and make it. So those are just a couple of options there. Rehydration would work.
I agree. I think rehydration is your best approach for this personally. I mean, that's how.
Okay.
You'll have a lot easier of a job, everybody, if you take those chilies and you put them in water first, soak them, and then blend, as opposed to just trying to do dry chili blend. You'll be happier. You're not going to be as frustrated. Trust us.
Yeah, once it starts sticking to the edge of the blender and you have to keep scraping it down, you press that pulse, it all comes up again, and then you're like, yep, it's a nightmare. So
yeah. Little hot water and warm water and hot water and warm hot water, tepid water, and rehydrate those chilies, and it's going to be a lot easier.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
All right, Crystal.
Yeah, for roasting the tomatoes and peppers for the salsa, are we doing that to introduce a little bit of charred flavor or as a means to remove the skins?
Oh, you want the charred flavor in there.
That's all I had.
Cool. And it's gonna give a, when we think about whenever we add heat, right, we start to change a little bit of that, the conversion into some sugar, some sweeter notes as well. So you're gonna add that charred note from the outside, and then that sugary note that comes just from a little bit of whenever or onion. So you get that char and that sweetness. All righty. Karen, so you're good, right? Do your spices there and then rehydrate your chilies. All right, cool. LaToya, are you good? Yeah? All right, cool, Karen.
Yeah, I have a question. Okay, so I have like a blender and stuff like that. It's like for like smoothies. I don't really have a big blender. Is that good to use and stuff like that?
That will work. I would highly suggest you, as we just said, rehydrate those chilies first. Otherwise, you're going to have a heck of a time trying to get those chilies to grind down and incorporate. You're going to be frustrated. So rehydrate first.
Okay, and then we have like study hall on the day before.
We're hopping in there right now.
Okay, so if I just need like questions and stuff like that, I can just like call you guys and
just hang on, because we're about to wrap this class up and hop right into study hall.
Okay, like I don't want to fail and stuff like that, so I'm just asking and stuff like that. Like I work 2 jobs and I'm in college too, so like I'm just like all over the place. So I'm just asking.
All right. Oh, I think we should. I don't know if you're in my class or Chef Jerry's class, but
I'm in your class.
Okay. Well,
You're my teacher.
You need to send me a message so we can set up a time to talk. So we can start to get you on track for this.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. We are hopping into study hall.